So, um, this is basically the idea. If you pick a piece of paper and you can draw just a cross, just four quarters. I just wrote here some definitions, but just vertical line, horizontal line. And this is something that helped me a lot to figure out some practical things that I could change. Um, so on the first quarter, on the top left, you write which challenges you're trying to solve. Where are the areas that you could improve, that you could do things better? Maybe, specifically about your ministry, the work you're doing. In my case, when I did this for the first time, I started to write down, okay, one of my challenges was to let the disciples in my hometown work together as church, to organize themselves in healthy groups that reproduce and multiplicate. I didn't know, that was my question, what I was wondering, how I could do that, because in my city, not me, but there are, that's the best word, there are about 50 disciples, and they all know each other, they all have fellowship with each other, they go to the streets together, they baptize together here and there, so they're doing what TLR has been teaching so far. Some of them have done PTSs and Kickstarts and stuff like that. But the missing part was that they are not a family, they're friends. Now, you cannot have a family of 50, having continuous fellowship is difficult. Many of us had taken initiatives to make house meetings. Some guy had made every 6 weeks, he did a big meeting with everybody and their families in a big hall. But yeah, it was just fellowship. There was no progression, there was no growth, there was no sending, they was just there stuck. So my challenge was how to make the group of my city is called Emmen, how to make the disciples in Emmen work together, become a team, feed the lamb, feed the children, the babies, grow and send them out to make it multiplicate. How could I get that? There were people who were dying because nobody was looking after them. The whole teaching I'm giving this week was absent. We didn't know that. So that was my challenge. That's what I wrote here. How to make the disciples in Emmen work together. And my second challenge was how to make, for example, the people we have trained in South America, in all those countries, in Chile, Argentina, Peru, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, how to make them work together. How to make the leaders there continue, be equipped, because we went there, we gave a kickstart, and as I said, the usual thing came, conflict, division, fights, issues, persecution, struggles, confusion, the normal reset process. And now it's a year later. I said, okay, now what? I need to help those people. The strongest ones of each city were contacting me, say, we're dying. Help us. What can we do? We need more. We need to know what to move on into. So that was my second challenge. I had those two challenges. Let me see, maybe I can. You know what I'm saying. So on the first quarter, I wrote two challenges. The second quarter, key people. So no, we are church. And if we are church, our element to work and to build up with is with stones, with living stones. That's people. So we need people. I don't want to solve this with technique or books or methods or videos. I want to solve it with people. So the second part is what people that I know can practically help me to solve this challenge together. What are the people that can help me out? Who are the key people? So for my local problem of my city, the disciples in Emmen, I want to group them up, but there are now 3, 4, 5 generations, and I don't know the last younger generations. I only know the first generations of people. So I was wondering, how can I work it out? So I wrote here the names of the people that may be considered as elders in my hometown, or potential elders. 3 people that are like strong pillars that the disciples always go to when there's moments of conflict or moments of decision. They look at these men. So I thought, okay, I will write. They have to have a solution. We need to work it out with them because I know them. I have an influence on them. We are a team. We have been working together before I started traveling, and we are really close friends. So they have to be the ones who help me organize the disciples in Yemen. And for my second part about the South American groups, I thought, okay, let's pick up the leaders or the older, the strongest men of each nation. You know, people that have children, that have a life, that have a house or a job, that have reached things in life and that have been willing to risk it for the gospel. People that are mature, people that mature in life and mature in the faith. So I put those names to myself here. So I had my problems, my local problems in my city, and the problems or challenges in the cities I had been working and traveling to. And I put here the people that I thought they should be able to help me find out a solution. In one place were the potential elders of my local town, and for the international situation were the strongest disciples of each country. So okay, I had the problem defined, I found the issue, and I found the people that would be able to help me. Now, the third one is vision. And in the vision is technically I will describe how will life look like if I fix this situation. So if Hans, that is here, helps me to effectively group up the disciples in Yemen, my vision is that all the disciples in Yemen will be in healthy groups, being fed, being built up, and sent. That will be my vision. That's what I want to get. There's where I want to. Why is this important? Because if I don't have this, I will get distracted with side issues. Because there are always side issues. Little problems. But I want to focus on the right solution. For the solution about South America, I wrote, I want the South American groups that were trained to organize themselves so that they can train their own nation. And I don't have to go there again. That they can reach their own people. So that would be for me, this was for me my vision. That's what I wanted to do. What steps to take? And here is when I came together with other disciples and we sat down and said, this is my problem. These are the people I have. This is what I want things to look like. What can I do? And then we started praying, sharing experience, sharing perspective, asking more questions. You know, if I show this to someone, the person will ask me, okay, so they don't live in my city, and they will say, okay, so you have three potential elders in your hometown. How are they? Where do they live? Close by, far away? Do they work? Do they don't where they have time? They don't have time. What are the biggest issues in the city? What are the, asking more questions to come with a real practical solution. So after talking about it, it's very important that here on the steps to take that we don't get cheesy. The Lord will help you, brother. I'll pray for you. I mean, that is nice. I'm not sorry if I'm mocking it, but I just mean we need practical steps. What am I going to do? Paul sent people to Corinth. They came with a report, and he wrote a letter, and then they came with another report. And he sent to the Ephesians also. He heard how off they had gone. He sends Timothy. He said, Timothy, you go there. You're going to move this man and this man. You have to put them off the leadership. Alexander and Hymenaeus, they have to leave the fellowship completely. I don't want to see them again. They have to be kicked out forever, definitely. And you have to put new leaders in that have this characteristic. Titus, you go to Crete. In Crete, you're going to find this and this and this in this situation. The women are acting like this. The men are acting like that. Tell them that they should not do that. Tell the leaders to start working on these people. These two sisters are fighting so much the whole time. Tell them to stop, to be of one mind. And he started giving practical instructions to real issues. Even to Timothy himself, he said, you're young, you're insecure, but don't worry, just keep fighting, do the right thing. You go with my authority, so just be sure to tell this to the brothers, tell them to read this letter so they know I am sending you. So he took very practical steps. It was not an abracadabra. So it's not wrong to be strategic. It's not wrong to use the brains that God has given us. Of course, we're going to be led by the Spirit in doing this, but this just helps us to see the problem and the tools we have to fix the problem. Still, there will always be a problem, and not any plan works out the way you wanted it to work out. I have been more successful in South America than in grouping up the people in my hometown. but we have to move on. And there are more issues, new issues, but we start moving ahead. You get my point? So this is a very good thing that in the future, once you start training the parents to be from your disciples, you can give them this tool so that they, together with other future parents, they can also search for solutions. So we're going to practice this right now. We're going to make just simple groups, the normal way. And you're going to go in groups of 3 or 4. And you're going to take time to write the challenges that you're facing right now in the place where you are coming from or the place you're going to. It's up to you what challenges are there in your heart. So write the challenges, write the key people, write the vision for it, and leave this one blank. And this one, when you have this filled, then you can start sharing with your group what this issue is and together find out a solution or possible steps. Yeah, any questions? Okay, the next. Just kidding. Good. Good. In the meantime, I'm going to stay with Ryan and Ilse trying to make the groups, and then we have something nice when you guys come back. Okay? Oh yeah, for the groups, I just have it here. Just put it there on the. Oh, give it to me. Give it to me. You're welcome. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Cool. Thanks. Cool. So just group up. I leave it up to yourself for not taking it too long. 3, 4 people in average, and then first spend time alone writing this, and then with the whole session on church planting, and then comes just more practice on that. So you're going to have your groups, and you're going to be practicing that and seeing how you live the experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're going to be keeping on sharing on those things. So till today, we have built up on the roots of this, why this, what principles this is helping. We need to remember that this should be helping the principles of church and not the other way around. This should be helping people, training people, sending people closer to God and to new people. It should not be a goal on itself. No? Everything we've learned is not that it has to be like this. It's a tool to help, to make it easier, to make it more effective. So far, we have been focusing on how this is going to potentiate what we do for the people we serve. Now I just want to add the last thing to it is how can we use this to multiplicate? How can we use this so that we reach more people and we train more people and we grow? So this is going to be a bit of a short explanation, I hope. So the multiplication plan. Hold on. So now I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to imagine that this is you. You are round and blue. And I'm going to count you as generation 0. This is not go, just in case. This is a 0. So this can be you or your fellowship or you and your wife or you and a helper, but it's you. And this is the generation 0. This is how we begin. Now, when you start, you find this person that maybe you have already on your path, a person of peace, and you reach this person, and not only this person, you reach also more people through this person. Now, there are 1,000 ways in how this can happen, but this is something that expanded my vision quite a bit when I understood it. I always thought of just one person, the person I'm baptizing, the person that I'm helping, the person that I found that was open. And I did my best to try to help this person to be a disciple of Jesus, no matter what it takes and how long it takes. But everybody has a network. Everybody has friends and family that we can also reach. This happened to me first. Everything that I do happens to me first by chance. God just leads it in that way, and He's trying to teach me something, and I'm more like, huh, what is this? But I remember some while ago, a good friend of mine was baptized. I mean, she was not a friend of mine at that time. Now we're friends. in Holland. She's a business lady. Henny is her name. And she got baptized in a Kickstarter with Torben. She and her husband both got baptized. It was 2015, I think, October or September. And we got to say hi and we met. And like about a week later, Torben was gone, Kickstarter was finished, life goes back to normal. Monday comes and the first weekend comes and there's nothing going on. So she calls me and she said, "Okay, Fabian, what now? Okay, I feel better, I feel free, and I'm happy. I'm praying every day. And now, what can I do?" So this situation has two sides. One of them we can think, "Oh, how bad from us that we didn't do anything." On the other side, it has the positive side that if we do nothing with this person on the first days, the natural question that comes into this person is not what are you going to do for me, is more what am I going to do for God. If we choke them and we just jump on them, follow-up idea from the church, traditional church, mostly they become clients, they become customers of our program. And more the idea is I want to see if these people have the heart of a disciple. When Jesus came to the fishermen, apostles to be, he didn't say, "Come guys, I have a nice home program. You're going to love it." He told me, "Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men." And what was the next move of Jesus? He walked away. If they wanted, they would drop their nets and follow. If they didn't want, they would stay. He went to Matthew. "Matthew, come with me." And he kept walking. So now Jesus was not this sweet, full of human Hollywood love character. He was not neither a brutal man. Well, sometimes he was, actually. But he was not trying to entice people to sweet them up. He would just tell them the truth, and if they wanted, they would come. He would come to the multitudes, speak with parables, all confusing stories that we now understand because we are 2,000 years later and we know what he was meaning. But at that point, those poor Jews had no idea what he was trying to say. So he comes out and gives a parable or two or three, and everybody's puzzled, and he says, "Well, the one who has ears to hear, let him hear. Bye-bye." He just walks away. In other words, if you want to understand it, if you're really seeking, you will figure it out. And if you're not, I don't want to discuss. Bye. He was that kind of person who was only seeking for those who really wanted it. And when he chose the 12, there were many people with him. There were hundreds around him. But he prayed an entire night and chose only 12. When he casted out those 4,000 plus demons from the guy with the legion, the Gadarene, he begged him to go with him. And what did Jesus say? "No, go to your people." When he went to Samaria, and the Samaritan woman with the many husbands, and that was now living together, when he reveals to her that he's the Christ, and the entire village believes, they begged him to stay, and he stayed a couple of days, but then he left. And you see that Jesus was not a people pleaser. Sometimes we, because of the way we were raised up, mostly people who have suffered a lot, tend to enjoy the simplicity of life. People that can very easily smile, that can be satisfied with little, are people who have suffered, who know what pain is. So they enjoy just having peace and joy. And people like that become naturally people pleasers, which is not wrong. That's just who we are. That means that they like to avoid conflict and they want to make people happy as much as possible. And it's a dangerous place to be sometimes, because when you're a people pleaser, you somehow start compromising the gospel and unconsciously, because you don't want to make people feel bad. And then comes the little, we start to make a cheesy gospel sometimes, just trying to convince people. And the gospel makes people uncomfortable. It's not that we have to make them uncomfortable, but it's not that we have to make them, the gospel will do. And Jesus was like that, he had these thousands of people following him. He would arrive somewhere and he would have thousands, like really thousands, that would come out to listen to him and hear his teachings. And he would just confuse them, and after a while he would send them away. That was weird. I mean, he was less successful than Francis Chan or than anyone. He didn't build up a mega church. People would come to him and they wanted to exalt him and make him king, and he would just walk away. Come these 3,000 people, and he comes and teaches the parable of the sower and leaves. And the disciples are like, Lord, all these people they're here for days waiting for you, and what are you talking about? What is this thing? So he explains it to them. And then he said, okay, now we understand what you meant. Why don't you tell that to them? And he said, no, because to you is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. That doesn't look like our preachers of nowadays. What was going on in his mind? What is it that Jesus wanted? Why did he do that? That selective thing to send. Oh no, he healed everybody. Yes, he casted the demons and healed them, but then he sent them away. John 6, again, thousands of people around Jesus. If you don't eat my flesh and you don't drink my blood, you're not worthy of me. I was like, you nuts? How can we eat you? And they left him. And then he turned around and opened a cafeteria so that people would not leave. No, he turned around to his disciples. If you want to go, feel free. So he was thinking of a total different way of thinking. What do you think he was thinking about? What was going on in his mind? What was his goal? Yeah, but in the practicality. So why he sent the thousands away? Yeah. 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 That's true. They wanted to sacrifice for it. Yes, because he told them, you just come for the free food, but I'm the real food. And then he spoke about eating his flesh. That's a good one. Yes. Any other idea why he did that?
Was he trying to separate the goats from the sheep at that point?
Well, the goat and the sheep is actually more speaking about the people who help the poor. Yeah, if you read what comes afterwards. But yeah, that was also part of it because they wanted to make him king, and he wanted to keep his identity secret. That's also part of it, indeed. In the whole Gospel of Mark, you see that the demons would start manifesting and declaring who he was, and he will command them to be quiet because he didn't want people to know. He said, "You're the Son of God. You're the sent from the Most High." He said, "Don't say it." So that's also part of it. He didn't want to. It was not the time for him to be king or to be exalted. That's true. That's a good one. I believe that one of the main things was that Jesus wanted to train well few men instead of training very superficially a huge mass. And this changed because when he left, just before he left, he told his disciples, you will do so much more, so much greater things than I did because I have to leave, he told them, because I have to go to the Father. Some people are trying to walk on water to see if they can beat Jesus. It's not about that. It's not about having more superpowers. It's more achieving more because we are longer here and we have the Holy Spirit, which Jesus had as well. So he said, you will do much more than me because I'm going to the Father. And when he left, he sent the Holy Spirit. And you see that, strange enough, after the first preaching of Peter, 3,000 come in, which is something that Jesus never did. He refused to do. But now one preaching, wow, thousands. And you see after that, thousands. And I was thinking about that, like in my city where I live, we have this group of about 50 disciples. And we were talking about this, and I thought, okay, what if tonight 10,000 people from Yemen come to faith? Are we, these people, this group of 50, are we capable of discipling them and taking care of them? We're not. We don't know ourselves what we're doing. We're just discovering how this works. So I think, God first fixes the house before he brings the children in. So that's why it's so important for us now that we have reached a level of maturity. We have reached a level of stability in the kingdom. that we really know how God wants to work so that the Holy Spirit can bring all those thousands. You see that in Acts 2 that the Bible says the Lord was adding daily. It was God sending people. If you think of your own experience, we go in the streets, but actually how much of the fruit we have reached comes from the streets? It's not much. At least not in most of the people I know. Maybe we have someone here who has it, but it's not much from the street. It's mostly the fruit that God is sending our way. And you notice when you speak with the people who really stay, that you could really disciple, you see that God sent them. There was a line, and God used us just as workers to. Okay, now you go to that section of the field and work in there, and you find these people, and they find you because God puts us on the path. And on the street you see great healings and great miracles and awesome things, but you don't find so easily disciples on the street. So I'm saying all of this because imagine that you reach this guy, let's say Alfred uh, G something. What? Givens? Okay. Alfred is giving me. So you find this guy. And now, before I used to focus only on that person and try to help that person as much as I could. With this lady, this Henny, she asked me, well, what now? And I don't know how come I came to my 15 minutes of brightness. And I told her where, she works with a Herbalife, Herbalife, this network selling things. So I said, checking your network, you must have some friends who are also seeking for answers. Maybe they're Christians, maybe they're not, but they are open, looking, broken. Look for them, invite them to your home, and I go with some friends of mine and we see what happens. So she found two girls, two ladies, who had atheist husbands, but they were like, they were raised Catholic, I think, or something like that. And yeah, they were looking for answers in life in their 50s. So I went there with some young kids, disciples at that time, and we just went to her house. So you have these three couples: Henny with her husband, who had just been baptized; these two other couples with somehow open women, and these very friendly husbands that just follow the crazy wives into whatever thing they want to do, atheists; and me with some young guys in their early 20s. So we just sat down and we just shared a little bit our life stories, each one of us, all of them, the ladies too, their husbands as well. So we spoke about what we believe. They knew they were coming to listen to us because Henny said, hey, come to my house. There's some nice guys I have discovered something new, really interesting about God. I never heard it this way before. I thought you might like it. So they knew they were coming to listen to us. And it was in her living room, so it was a very comfortable setting. For these ladies, it was not a weird place because they went often to Henny's house. She's her friend. So it was very easy to be there for them. It was not like, oh, we're going to a church. They were just going to Henny's house, to her friend's house. So we talked, and then we drank some coffee. One of the ladies comes to me and says, hey, Henny said that you can heal the sick and stuff like that. Well, I try. So he said, well, I have pain on my back. Okay, so yes, I just pray for her. One time, nothing happened. Second time, nothing happened. But then I prayed a third time, and nothing happened. I was like, okay, it's not my gift. No. So I say, yeah, I'm sorry. I try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. So I'd say it's okay. I respect what you're doing. I hate it when they say that. Okay, it's good, it's good. And then her husband comes in and says, well, I have pain on my knees. My what do you call it? Meniscus are broken or so. So okay, I prayed, and then he got healed the first time. He was like, man, this is good. Also here, my ankles. Prayed also, and then the husband of the other one went to my other friend, and he had also pain on his back. So the guy checked his legs, and a couple of millimeters can be anything. Can be the shoe. Can be he's sitting funny. But he said, well, just in case I pray, and he prayed. Actually, my friend told me I didn't see anything happening. But the man started to cry and cry and cry. I said, what's wrong? So I felt my femur was just actually popping inside of my leg. And he was in shock. And it just got crazy, got loose. Like everything started happening. A lot of healings and miracles and stuff. And then one of these men comes to me and says, yeah, I have this constant pressure in my mind that doesn't let me work. I have everything's going well, but somehow I have this huge amount of stress and this oppression. So I told him, "You have a demon. You are possessed." I didn't say that. Hey, let me pray for that. So I just pray, and he starts manifesting. Indeed, he couldn't stand on his feet anymore. Was sweating and was like, like he. So I told him, "Relax, relax. Sit down before it gets too wild." And then Henny comes with the soup. Okay, we're gonna eat. And the man says, "I want no soup. I want to know what this is about." So delicious. When a sinner says, I want you to tell me the gospel right now." So I said, "Henny, throw away the soup." And she knew already, so she was ready to explain the cups and cookies. It was her first time. And I had told her, prepare it just in case. So she sat in the middle, put the table, and did the cups and cookies to them. When she finished, from the four of her friends, three decided to be baptized, the two ladies and one of the husbands. And I asked her, "Can we baptize them now?" And her husband came from upstairs, said, "I feel the bathtub is ready. I saw it coming." So we went upstairs, and first the man who was manifesting, we baptized him. The demon left and spoke in tongues. Then he baptized his wife, who spoke in tongues, and she baptized her friend, who was also free and spoke in tongues. And unaware, just now, the last months, I realized that that was a church. I had never seen it that way. They just started getting together in Henny's house. And out of there became a network. And now one of those couple uh, fell away, kind of, they are still struggling. They are busy, distracted with the issues of life. They were a little bit ground too. And the other couple, from which only the wife got baptized, the wife was a very wise woman who did not push her husband to get saved or to take steps he was not ready for. So she just did her thing and was just very loving and very kind to her husband. Very normal, didn't push him in any direction. She just found a whole new bunch of friends, all these disciples. She did a PTS with the approval of her husband, who sent her there. 1 year later, we did a reunion with all the disciples of 2016, and I was so amazed to see the huge amount of people we had helped in that year. And she came with her husband as well. In that conversation, in that day, beautiful day with a lot of fun and nice things to do, another friend of mine gets to share the gospel with her husband, and he got baptized that day. And now this man, the husband of this lady, is the boss of the KLM IT department, and he decided to quit. He's going to drop it, and he's going to sell his house in Amsterdam, and they're going to buy a farm in the east, in the farming area. We're going to open a big farm to welcome people who are broken in life and need to have a new startup. And they're going to have what they want to call it, the Jesus farm. Um, so it's incredible. But you see, Henny had a network. On the other side, we have the opposite story. I have this guy who opened the Jesus Cafe, and he got baptized and everything, and I didn't think of his network. I was not thinking in that way. Somehow I forgot it, I lost it, whatever. And later, from this guy from the Jesus Cafe, his wife got baptized, and his mother-in-law got baptized as well. And now he's helping two other young guys, and he's trying to disciple them, so it's starting to run. And I shared this thought with him. What about if I had from the beginning, when you got baptized, reached out to your family and to your network? And he told me that would have been a very bad idea, because all my family is so radical against this that if you had invited them the first day you explained the gospel to me, they would have convinced me to not take the step. And I would have never done it. So it's so good that you took the time to do it only with me. So I was thinking, okay, it's different from person to person. Sometimes it might be good that you find somebody that is open, and immediately when you make a new appointment, you tell them, well, shall we meet with your family and friends? Do you have, like what I did with Henny, do you have people that are open to this? And share the cups and cookies or whatever presentation you use with that person and his or her network. But it might be also counterproductive, and you might better wait until you have given milk to this person, and this person is not a baby anymore. It's a young one who has overcome the devil, has overcome his flesh, is strong, will not go back anymore, a person that can resist persecution, and then reach their network. So again, what do we need? The leading of the Holy Spirit to do this, because what works with one person will destroy the next one. So in everything, you need to keep your ears open, your eyes open, and pray, God, what can I do here? All in all, the idea is that now every time I reach to a new person, I'm thinking, what are the people that I will reach through this person? So think of all the fruits you have so far. You have maybe at home fruit, or maybe you have not had any fruit yet, and you can start aiming at that. Whatever person you reach, they have family, friends, colleagues. They have a network. People work in groups. Sometimes people are lonely also. But always try to think farther than the person. Think of their groups, their families, their friends, people that are open and that this person might be able to reach, or that you can reach through this person. It's much easier to invite these people to the house of AG instead of inviting them to your house. Never do that. Never do that. Never invite second references, to your house, because this is going to be the step to go from their house to a stranger's house is very high. But for them to go to his house is normal. They do it all the time. So always try to use the house of this person as a reference to get new contacts. Good. So all in all, we have this groupie. Now we have a group, and we put it together, and we start working with what I show you these days. With like what we're doing here with just discovery Bible study, and the milk and the solid food. And you start working with them. You start training them, discipling them. Maybe you're fruitful and you get more groups simultaneously, or maybe you do it one by one. It doesn't matter. It's what the Lord gives. Be always open. Be always seeking for more. Some people do it that are extremely fruitful in number. Some are more slowly fruitful. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. It has to be fruit. That's the whole thing. So all these groups are my generation one. These are the people that I am directly training. They know me very well. They come to my house. We have time together. What I've been teaching you these days. These are my disciples. I have time with them. I spend time with them. They know my life. They know my wife, my kids. We have fun together. We study the Bible together. We pray for each other. We lay hands on each other. We do ministry together. We are family. Now, what is next? Okay, I have 3 groups. Hey, praise the Lord. It's awesome. But I want this to multiply. I want this to explode. I want this to grow. So the next step, and this is what is new for me as well, is to cast vision in these people. To start explaining to them things like, for example, okay, Joe, you're so good. You have overcome the devil. You are strong. You follow the leading of the Spirit. You have taken so many steps of faith. You're good on the streets or whatever, but you can do so much more. We can reach through you a lot of people, and I can help you to do that. Would you like me to teach you and to help you so that you also start reaching out and making your own groups and making your own disciples? So you start so envisioning these men. But this cannot be anyone. This cannot be everyone. Because not everyone is strong enough to hold that responsibility. Everybody is strong enough, should be strong enough to make disciples. But I want somebody who is the key person. I cannot, people that are really weak, it's difficult to use them to build up a movement because they're weak. They need attention. They need love. They need help. People that are broken by life, they need time. You cannot start telling them, you have to make this, you need to take care of them. The weak in spirit, said Jesus when he spoke on the mount. Blessed are you that are weak in spirit. And we need to care for them. But I cannot build a movement through them. I will just continue to help them. They will be my friends. But I want to build something. So what kind of people am I looking for that I can cast vision in? Some people can take casting vision for more. And to some people, this will destroy them. Because they will feel guilty. Oh, I cannot do it. I'm less than the brother who is doing so much. You know what I mean? So I look for people that have these characteristics. People with faith. That is, people who are led by the Spirit. People who take risks for Christ. People who are paying a price. People who are ready to die to themselves. If that means giving up their jobs. Or if that means taking a job. For some people, giving up their jobs is dying to themselves. For some people, giving up their jobs is feeding their flesh because they're rebels and they don't like to submit to a boss or to a routine or to have discipline. So there are many young people who love the foregrounds teaching because they think, yes, now I have a good reason to give up my job and I'm even more spiritual than before. You know what I mean? And for some people, it's different because taking a job would be dying to their flesh. I've been a rebel all my life. I've been doing what I wanted all my life. But now I want to be disciplined and to be a good example. How can you teach other people, for example? Imagine that you quit your job when you were 19 and you go traveling around the world. And then you find young men who are lazy and, just wasting their time. You have to take a job. It's okay, how did you do it? Yeah. Well, the Lord called me. It gets kind of weak. So you need to find people who are willing to die to themselves, whatever that means to them. It can be different things. So let's not standardize the answer to that. So people who have taken risks, who are willing to give up things or take on things for Christ. People with character, which means not that they are bosses, new Donald Trumps. I mean people that are stable, that have the fruit of the Spirit. People that are mature, that are loving, that are patient. Patience is such a big thing. Because we want to see the baptism and we want to see it now. We want to see those fruits right now and put them on Facebook. But many times it takes effort and investment of your own life where you have to give up many things and just work with people day by day by day by day that you cannot post it anywhere. So people that have this stability of character, the fruit of the Spirit, and people that have a network, or that are very easy to get new networks, people that are easy at making new contacts. So I look for these characteristics. You can add your own characteristics. This is very personal. And I call these people multiplication agents just for not calling them disciples or apostles or something, because they get puffed up. Call them whatever you want to call them. Call them teddy bears or whatever. Doesn't matter. So I find these people in my network and I sign them out. Oh, there. So I mark possible people that will be multiplication agents in my network. And on these people I start casting vision in. Only on the ones that I see strong enough to do it. Because the weak ones will get hurt by that. They will feel guilty that they are not doing enough. They will get into what Julio said the other day, just serving God by works, trying to please Him in that way. So I find these people, I start investing in them, and let's work only with this one. Let's imagine, and funny here, for example, imagine this group. This is the guy who reached the group, but it doesn't mean that he's a guy who will be a multiplication agent. He might not be fit for it. I chose this one. And now let's imagine only the life of this guy, because otherwise it would be too big a map. So imagine that KD responds and starts working. I cast vision in them. I explain this to them. I give them a goal. And then I start working with KD. And KD reached this guy, Ursula Hemmers. And through her reached a network and started a little group. And maybe simultaneously or later he reached another guy or girl and reached a group. So this is my generation 2. To me, this generation 1, this generation 2. Now, who is discipling generation 2? KD, not me. Now I am discipling KD to disciple these people. So when I only had this level, the questions of KD in our gatherings were about survival. Fabian, whatever. My father was so brutal to me when I was a kid, and I hate him. And I want to forgive him, and I have forgiven him, but I still feel this resistance against him every time I see him. How can I overcome this? Or Fabian, I'm doubting if my baptism was good because I saw when you baptized the other guy, I saw all the manifestation. I didn't have any of that experience. Am I okay? All his questions were about his own spiritual life. But now there's a generation 2, so now his questions changed a lot. We still get together, we still have fellowship and discipleship, but now he's asking me, Fabian, this Ursula, she slept again with her ex-boyfriend, and yeah, I don't know how to deal with it. She seems that she's not feeling guilty about it. She confessed it, but I don't see real regret. And is that a true repentance, or should I talk to her a little deeper? Now his questions are not more about me. Now he's asking about these people. I was like, hey, Fabian, this JK, he's Muslim. His family is telling him that if he gets baptized, they're going to kill themselves, and he's really afraid. But he really wants it. Should I should I baptize him anyway? Should I wait? So now his questions change a lot. It's not about how can I, how can I, how can I. It's how can they, how can they, how can they. So it's a total different level of understanding of the kingdom for KD. And I'm still discipling him, and I'm also discipling them as well. But now there's another project, and now we have babies, and the babies are become more important. It's like in a marriage. When it was my wife and me, man, we went out to the restaurants every week, and we spent our money in a very different way, and we had fun and traveled. Well, traveled, not really. No, we traveled only because we had to run out from the law, but for the rest, not so much. But anyway, when the kids came, our whole way of living life changes. It switches, and the children become your priority for the next 20 years. So when children come in, the perspective of KD totally switches, focusing on them and also focusing on him anymore. So what would be the next step here? What is next? I have two generations. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Now he has to cast vision. He has to find his agents in his group, and now he is casting vision. Not me. He's doing it. But I am helping him. I'm doing it with him. I'm guiding him so that he can do it well. So now I'm training him to be me, sort of saying. Not be, but to do what I did with him. So now he casts vision on these people, and hopefully it will work out well, and the process would repeat itself with the generation 3 over here. We're just working with one person. Imagine if this one also gives fruit, and this one also, and this one also, and this one also. It can be massive. Now, my personal goal, which I have not reached yet, at least not consciously, it has happened before, but more by chance, as I told you with Henny. Now I want to do it really strategically. My goal is to reach 3 generations. Here's where I want to get. You say, but why not 4? Why not 5? Of course, that's going to come. Because if the discipleship happened correctly, then KD also wants 3 generations. So he's going to work down 1 more. And then Ursula also would like 3 generations. So she's going to work out 2 more. And it keeps going down, 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 down. How can I check if I'm doing things correctly? Because that is the point of having these maps, that you know what you're doing. The best control I have come up with is to check that we both have the same DNA. If I check people down the road, and I check me, and they understand the gospel the same way. This is what I told you, that I checked in Yemen, and I saw that we didn't have the same DNA. There were people baptized here, but that they didn't understand the gospel, they didn't read the scripture, they had no contact with God, or had some sort of esoterical contact with God instead of discipleship. That I saw that this generation, or the 4th, was just not healthy. We had a total different understanding of the gospel. And then I saw something went wrong. So I started checking who here or there did something wrong. And I realized there were people here that were baptizing people and leaving them alone to die. Just come to the Jesus Cafe, have fun, have fellowship, we go on the street, we cast out demons. Hey, there was one of these girls, for example, that would go on the streets, and she went out with your sister? Yeah, with my sister-in-law. They went down on the street, and they prayed for a girl who got healed and was so flabbergasted and open and like, what is this? And the girl said, God bless you. And she walked away. And my sister-in-law told me I didn't know what to do. The girl was so open. She was like, curious, wanted to know how we did it. And the girl just walked away. Now she will meet Jesus because she saw already his power. No, the gospel. We're not street healers. we can call Chris Angel, and he can also do crazy stuff. We're speaking about, it's not about impressing people, it's about saving them. So they start noticing something here is terribly wrong. I checked another girl, for example, and she had been baptized 8 months ago. And one night she started manifesting like crazy panic attacks, and she felt attacked by demons, and she was like really screaming. And they took her to the house of Louis, who is the guy who opened the cafe, and he had baptized her together with all the guys. And he prayed for her the entire night until 6 in the morning, and the manifestation never stopped. So when she was tired of manifesting, they went to bed. And he called me. He said, Fabian, yesterday this happened with this girl, and this and this and this and this. I'm like, wow, strange. So he asked me, could you please help me? These kind of questions, like KD questions. Can you help me? We'll see what's wrong. I said, okay, bring her in, and I will talk with her. So me and another disciple went to sit down at the cafe with her and start talking to her. So what's going on? And she said, yeah, some panic demons, whatever thing, blah, blah, blah. And okay, so I'm asking questions. Asking questions. I want to know. I could just put my hands. No, I want to know. Their demons don't come in just because they feel like. They're not a virus that you open the window. Demon. You know, people open doors in a way or another. It's not that the demon has rights, but I mean, demons don't respect the rights. People say, "Oh, the devil has a right." There's no rights. The devil doesn't possess anyone. He's not the owner of anything, but he doesn't follow the law. He's a liar and a thief. So that's why it's such a fight. People say, "But why do you cast demon? Why do you have to raise your voice?" I say, "Well, try to cast a demon with a business card. You have to take authority sometimes." So I'm talking to this girl, and long story short, I discovered that she's still living together with her boyfriend, and that she's doing occult spiritism online on the internet, and people were sending her angels with messages, and I'm like, what? Okay, so I just listened to that, and I try not to say what in front of her. I'm just like, okay, okay. Inside of me, I'm like, okay, okay, interesting. So because I want to see how much she understands. She might be just honestly wrong. She must think that is good. You know what I mean? That she's deceived. Or she might be just not caring about Jesus and doing what she wants. And I want to know her heart. So I asked her, so are there things in your life that you think that don't please God? Oh yeah, plenty. Oh, okay. Such as? Yeah, that I'm living with my boyfriend and looking for spirits. So you know it is wrong. Yeah, yeah, I do. And why do you do it? Never thought of that. So is anyone working with you, teaching you the Bible and helping you? No, I just come to the cafe once in a while and we go on the streets. So you're laying hands on people. Nice. Okay. So I told, well, are you willing to repent from these wrong things you're doing? Because if you know they're not pleasing God, well, no surprise that you're full of demons, and when we try to cast them out, they don't leave because you like them. You are holding them, they're not holding you. So I'm not going to pray for you if you don't want to repent, because I'm not going to cast something out that will keep me busy for a couple of hours so that then 10 minutes later they will come back in. Do you want to repent? Do you want to stop? Because it's or Jesus or these spirits, but not both. And she was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I said, okay. She said, it's fine. It's fine. Go home. Think about it. Pray to the good spirit, not those. And figure out what you want to do. If you're willing to stop and to fight, we fight together with you. And we'll get rid of these demons. But only if you want. Okay. So she went home. And I was thinking, how is it possible that such a girl stayed for 8 months and nobody ever taught her anything? She got baptized and, hey, man, testimony. But they didn't say goodbye. She was welcome, but nobody trained her. You need to train these people. They need to know. You don't know where they come from. So then I thought, oh, here something is going really bad. Another guy left the group. That he said, guys, one day he's sending up, guys, I'm sorry, but I need time for myself. I don't want to have any contact with you guys for a while. Please, off the group. So I check with the guys because I'm in the group, but I'm not really participating. I'm just checking. So I wrote to one of these leaders. I said, guys, what happened with him? Why did he leave? I said, I don't know. Who's working with him? I don't know. His disciple, right? Maybe. Like, ooh, guys, we're having an abortion clinic here. This has to stop. So then I start searching. We're doing something really wrong here. And start checking. And I come up with these conclusions. So of course there were also many beautiful stories, and yes, there are many good testimonies, and yeah, there's a lot of good things. But you know, when you have a healthy body and you break your toe, you hate life just because of that little toe. You know, or Nadia yesterday, poor Nadia cracked her knee or whatever happened inside of that, and she can have an amazing healthy elbow, but she doesn't care about the good elbow. It's like the knee hurts, I can't walk. So when that piece of the body is hurting, you don't think about all the amazing blessings. You focus on the problem. So it's not being negative, it's just focusing on what needs to get fixed. So that's why I think it's so important that disciples take the responsibility for the people around us. If you baptize someone, sometimes it might not be possible to look after them. And you cannot deny their baptism. Oh, I can't disciple you, I don't baptize you. You know, sometimes you will have the exceptional eunuch from the Bible. That was more an exception, you know, where God sent Philip and then he sent Philip away again. And history tells that this eunuch went to Africa and indeed preached the gospel there and made a revival there. Okay, that's exceptional. It's not the rule, you know, but usually we should do our best to connect those people to someone who at least can take care of them and train them for a while. We should. Now with communication, there's no excuse. We have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we can talk to people, we can help them even when we are on the other side of the planet. We can do it. I'm sure that Philip or Paul or whoever would have been taking contact with the eunuch and helping him around if they could have done it. And maybe they did, maybe they sent letters, we don't know. Or sent more people to help him, we don't know. It's just not written. So we must take our responsibility. And that's a good way to check it. I checked it and I found that it was faulty. That the third, fourth generation didn't have the same DNA that I had. So I thought, stop evangelizing. Wait. To myself, I didn't tell them. Let's check what is wrong. And I start checking around. Where is the crack? Who is not doing something? Or who did not understand something? It's not that there's a war, that there's an enemy, a rebel. No. We just need to build up our body. So I met with the oldest, the first generation from Yemen. Some were my disciples, some had been just alongside with me. They were not my disciples, it doesn't matter. But they were the strong ones from the city. I said, guys, look at this case, something is wrong. Terribly wrong. What is it then? And for them it costed them to see it because they were seeing so much fruit, depending what you call fruit. Now there's so many baptisms and there's so many healings and we go on the streets and the cafe has been blessed. National TV has been there, so that, wow, it's going good. But I'm like, yeah, some things are good, but many things are not. And it's not about being known, it's about bearing fruit. So I put vision in them and I started doing this with them and now it's going much better. Now they are working and trying to fix. So, you know, it's important to take a look at the sheep. We need to take a look at the sheep around us. The good shepherd counts the sheep. From 100, there's one missing. Oh, I did not notice that before. He had to count them before he found out the one was missing. So it's not a sin to check who you have been working with. So check that the DNA is the same. If you have already more generations down the scheme, you know, if you have generations, check with the youngest ones that maybe don't even know you. Sit with them, have food, coffee, chat about life or whatever. Check what they believe of the gospel. Check what the DNA is in them. So how to make all of this simple? Just like this. And we're going to do this now to keep track of the fruit. Just a piece of paper, fill it up with little circles. They call it the egg chart. I learned this from the guys in Turkey. And just put circles and start writing the initials of the people you have contact with. Write their names and see who brought who to faith and how that is working. When you do this, at one glance, you discover a lot of things. Sometimes you see, for example here, this is all invented, okay? This is not real cases. Because my egg chart looks very different from this. But you see here, for example, this guy and his group, and he brought this guy who has a little large group, and also this guy who has a small group. But this group has two more groups coming in, and from this group there's nothing coming out. Sorry, these guys are stuck. I noticed for myself that I had some people in my contacts or disciples that had a lot of initiative, a lot of potential, a lot of resources, and they were very busy all the time and saw a lot of miracles, but had no fruit. And then is when it gets deceiving, because you see talented people, good people, God loving people, nothing wrong with them, and they know everything, and they know the right and the wrong, and they know how to explain things well and everything, but they have no fruit. And usually I used to get impressed by guys like them, who are so good at whatever they do, but there's no fruit, or they get fruit and the fruit dies very short after, because sometimes they get people in, but then they don't know how to take care of them, they traumatize them, and then the groups dissolve and disappear. And you have other people who maybe are quiet and not so extrovert or not so good at explaining or teaching or knowing the Bible or whatever, but they have good fruit. But we don't pay so much attention to them because they are not making it public all the time. They're just doing their thing. So when you do this, it has many, many, many effects. One of them is that you will see behind the mask, or not the mask, that sounds too negative, behind the outward skin, you can see them, their muscles. No, whatever. I lost my speech. But you can see behind what the impression, behind the first impression, you can see their fruits, and the fruits are the one who let us see who is and who is not how much they know. So you can see sometimes that a good disciple has zero fruit, even though they are trying and they're actively busy. And these people get burned out because after 2 years going on the streets and working and baptizing and helping kickstarts and everything, and with no fruit, it does get you burned out. It gets you depressed, frustrated. And you see other guys who do not look like the prototypes, and they're having fruit. So you think, okay, this guy has something that this guy needs. I have to invest more on him and give him less attention because he's doing a good job already, or I can connect them both so that he can help him and learn from him. You know what I mean? So at one glance, I see that issue. Okay, here's something I have to work on before I continue fishing for new fish. I should just open the fridge and check what fish I have that is rotting inside. On the other hand, this is also very encouraging because it will always show you that you have more fruit than what you thought. Because I help only these and these two guys, but I don't know much about them anymore. Call them then. And you might realize that one of them reached Saul of Tarsus, that now has reached hundreds of Christ, or at least 5 or 10. And what you thought it was only 2, you realize, man, actually, he's 15, 20, 30. Maybe you have been traveling around already, like Jared has been to many nations. And maybe you can call back those people. Maybe you do, I don't know, I'm just supposing, guessing. But you can call those people, like people I have in South America that I lost contact with. Call them, hey, how's it going? And you figure out that it's going well. There's, of course, struggles, and they will tell you there's struggles as well, but you can see that there is fruit. And you can be encouraged that you see that through your life, God is doing much more than what you thought. So it is encouraging. Sometimes it can be confronting that you are trying to draw this down and you figure out you cannot even draw one circle, and you're like, oh, I thought I was doing so much better. So, it does work to see the fruit at one glance, to see what is going good, what is going bad, where you have to focus on, and where you can just let go. So, and it's very good to keep this running when you have leaders in the future, when you have little groups and you have people who, because the idea is, of course, that you lose contact with them after a while. I mean, not totally, but that you're not anymore actively discipling them. They are fathers, so they're doing their own thing. You have a new group, and the old ones are doing their thing. But it's good to always ask them to send you once in a while a chart like this. Okay, send me your egg chart. Let me see what you're up to. So then you can see maybe they haven't moved on in 6 months. Maybe it's not bad because their group is very weak and they need to work on them. or maybe it's exploding. It's just good to know what we are doing, to see where the labor is going. In November last year, two trips got canceled one after each other, so I had 6 weeks at home. And when I'm home, I try to be home for my wife and my kids, and I'm not really actively on the streets. I actually haven't been on the streets in my hometown in probably 1.5 years. I haven't been evangelizing on the streets because I've been doing it in other nations, and I have been focusing on the fish I have on the fridge. I've been working on the network, trying to see what's going wrong and trying to work with them and help them. It's not always just about evangelism, 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 evangelism. We need to have healthy disciples. So 6 weeks, and I stopped all of a sudden. Okay, it's kind of weird, because you're running like crazy, and then all of a sudden it's like God says, brakes, and it's a little strange. And okay, I'm home, and I'm just focusing on my family and on my spiritual family as well. And it's like God told me, okay, look back, look back. You have more than 1 year traveling, doing a lot of stuff. Check the fruit. For me, it's like was confronting because I didn't do this. I didn't understand anything I have been teaching you today that day. But it was the first time that God told me, stop running like a crazy horse without brakes, and just look, think. Are you being effective? Every time I travel to South America, who pays those tickets? I don't pay them myself. I have no money. It's been paid by the team in Holland. It's not their money either. It's money that people that follow TLR in Holland are giving donations or offerings at Kickstarts or buying the Dutch DVDs or I don't know, or students that go to school and there's a little money left over and we save it. So it's not my money, but it's money that somebody has been working 8 to 5, Friday to Monday to Friday to earn it, and they are giving it because they trust in us. So that money represents sweat and effort and sacrifice. My time and for my family has been really hard because it is really hard. It takes its toll. It's hard when I leave. It's horrible to walk away from my kids and my wife. And I know I leave her behind with a huge responsibility to take care of the 5 little kids on her own. And we homeschool them, so she's busy with them sunrise to sunset and longer. And she allows me, she gives me freedom to go. She's not complaining, she's not fighting, but it's difficult to leave. 1 week, 10 days, it's difficult. And then I'm on the field and I'm working and I'm facing issues and doing the work of the gospel and the kingdom, and then I get back home and it's difficult to come back home again because my wife got used to be without me, so she's just in charge of everything. And then I go back home and the kids are Papa's home, and I bring them some presents to soften my guilt. And it's 2 days of craziness because Papa is home. But then all the things she had been working on kind of collapses, and it's difficult between us because she needs to get used to me being back. And I come back tired and I feel not welcome, and she feels irritated because I'm back. It's just issues of living a life like this. And it costs you. It costs you effort. It costs you, you need to think together with your family. What are we going to do? Is this good for us or not? Shall we stop? Am I doing things that God is sending me to do, or is it just me? You need to work through those things because the price is high. So God told me, okay, stop. Look back. And I needed to check if the fruit of all the effort made any sense. And it made sense in many ways. But I could not leave the fruit just there, hanging. We pick the fruit from the trees, we put it in the basket, and then it rottens in the basket. It cannot happen. The fruit needs to be used wisely so that the seed inside of it can give more fruit. So what I would like you to do now is 10:30, so we can stop now. We have a break. And when we come back, we're going to start doing our own egg charts to see what is your fruit so far. Don't feel bad if you have no eggy. We're just going to look at it and think about it. Okay?